Hey, what's up, guys? Today's video is going to be about how you can use children's books in your own native language to learn languages. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know that I'm always looking for new, fresh, innovative ways of learning languages, just to freshen up your language learning routine so it doesn't get stale, so you don't get bored, so you're always doing something new. We want to make language learning fast, fun, and easy. So I just experiment with tons of methods, tons of things that you can do to help yourself learn languages. And some of them work really well. Some of them I do for a week or two and then move on to something else. But the point is, I'm always trying to find something new. And if it works, then great. And if it's not, then it's no big deal. But I try them. I'm always trying new things for learning languages. And, you know, that's just a big thing that I always want to communicate on my channel, especially since even if I try something that doesn't work for me necessarily, it might work for you really well. We all have different personalities and stuff. And so yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this method that I've used a little bit over the past year or so. And I think it has a lot of potential for using children's books to improve on your language abilities. So this is actually a video I've been planning for a few months now, probably almost since the beginning of the year. And I've been meaning to make a video about it for a long time. And I just never got around to it. Excuse me. But my brother and my sister-in-law recently announced that I'm going to be having a new nephew coming up here next year. So that's really exciting. And so I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to go ahead and make this video on children's books that I've been thinking about making for all these months now. So I'm really excited about that. All right, Don't Tread on Me says, hello, Aaron. I have a cool story to share. We talked about boldness and some. Let me know about that in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So anyways, what is this method? Like I said, the method uses children's books in your own target language, not in your native language, or in any language, really. It doesn't have to be books that are written in your target language. It could be a picture book with no words, okay? And it's really nice because you don't have to order a special children's book from Sweden and pay all the huge amount of shipping or I don't know, from Indonesia or from the Philippines, right? You can learn Indonesian or Swedish or Tagalog just using books that you might have in your basement or pick them up at a garage sale. I picked these books up. I specifically went to Goodwill to buy a few children's books. They were $2 a piece at Goodwill because I don't already have any children's books. But these ones were $2 a piece. I probably could have got them for cheaper because my mom goes to garage sales all the time. I could have been like, hey, Mom, pick me up a few children's books when you get the chance. And then they would have been like a quarter, you know. But who cares? $2 a piece ain't that bad. So I went to Goodwill. And for those of you, I don't know if Goodwill is a universal thing. It's just like a secondhand store. You can buy, you know, just cheap stuff that had been sitting in someone's closet for, you know, decades. And then they donated it to Goodwill, and then I buy it for really cheap. So I specifically went through the bookshelves in Goodwill looking for children's books that have lots of pictures of kind of interesting things. It's the pictures that you're interested in for this method. I found that a lot of children's books were just kind of plain. They didn't have a whole lot of stuff in them. And those books are not really going to work super well. You can see that this book has, there's a motorcycle crash. What else is there? Like there's this page with a bunch of tools, hammers, wrenches, screwdrivers, and stuff. Bunch of streets and parks and things. So you want to pick specifically books that have just a lot of kind of detailed pictures, just with objects. Okay, this is going to be a method mainly for learning languages when you're kind of in the earlier stages and you're still learning vocabulary. You don't know how to say Christmas tree. You don't know how to say snowman. Reef. You don't know. Maybe you don't know how to say socks, or I don't know, globe or bird's nest. Okay, actually, bird's nest isn't even that common of a word. So this is a method that may be beneficial for even moving on further in your languages. Oh, I got a bunch of comments here from Don't Tread on Me. All right, I'm going to read this here in a little bit after we discuss the the children's book method. But I am interested in hearing your story though. All right, so what you're gonna do is once you pick out a few books with lots of good pictures with solid tangible objects in them, you're going to need to find a good dictionary for your language. And I actually started doing this method with Esperanto, and you can see here like there's a bunch of different animals, and basically what I did is I just went through and I found a few different animals that I wanted to remember their names, or while I was reading through the book, I found a few different objects. Like, let's see, for example, screwdriver. I don't know how to say that in Esperanto. Hammer, wrench, ruler. I could have done hose or garage door opener. There's a rabbit, a hippopotamus. I think it's a hippopotamus. No, it's a kangaroo. That's a really funky looking kangaroo. But it's a children's book. So anyways, you're going to go through the book, finding different objects that you don't know how to say in your target language. Specifically, if you're this method just revolves around the pictures, and you're just going to take a marker, a pen, pencil, something, and you're just going to go through and mark down what the words are. Like I said, you're going to need to find a good dictionary. Okay, don't just rely on Google Translate. Okay, Google Translate has its uses, and sometimes it can be quite good. You just don't want to rely on it, though. Okay, and what I found since I started doing this method for Esperanto, I found that it was kind of hard to get really good translations for some stuff. So one website that I always recommend for translations is wordreference.com. Okay. Unfortunately, wordreference.com doesn't have a really solid dictionary online, or wordreference.com doesn't have a dictionary for Esperanto, and I wasn't able to find a really solid dictionary online for Esperanto, so I was stuck using Google Translate. You can get away with it sometimes. I prefer not to even try it. But so I figured for this video, I would just show you Google. Man, I must be tired today. I figured for this video, I'm just going to show you wordreference.com using Portuguese, because it's a language that I had kind of started learning a little bit earlier in the year. So, for example, let's say you're going through this book and find a picture of something. I don't know. There's actually some really interesting pictures on every page of this book. We'll say a wagon. Okay, little children's wagon. Here in Wisconsin, people say wagon. It's a wagon. All right, so here I have the wordreference.com app pulled up, and we're just going to type in wagon. All right. So here they have a horse-drawn vehicle is carroça. Carroça. I don't know how to say that in Portuguese. That's like a horse-drawn wagon, like a horse and buggy type thing. And then they have a child's toy vehicle, which is carrinho. I don't know how to say that in Portuguese. If someone speaks Portuguese, you can let me know. So anyways, yeah, I wish I knew how to pronounce that word. But this is the one we're looking for. And this is why you don't want to use Google Translate, right? Because you have a horse-drawn wagon, which is one word. Then you have a child's toy wagon, which is some other word. Oops, let's go back. I want the child's toy one, so that's what I'm going to write here on my book. Okay, how do you spell that? Carrinho. Okay, and I'll draw a little arrow pointing to the wagon so that I know it's that. If you're using Google Translate, then they're going to give you a word and you don't know if it's a horse-drawn wagon or a child's toy wagon. You don't know what it is. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take at least one initial run through the book, finding words that you see, pictures of things that you see in the book, not necessarily worrying about the words of the book. Again, you're worrying about the pictures that are located in the book. Okay, see there's some words on this side. I'm not even looking at that page. I'm looking at the pictures over here. And then we're going to put little definitions of the words right on the book. That's why you're buying cheap books from Goodwill, right? So I could put apple tree, I could put baseball cap, I could put lake or stream, I could put sailboat on this page. This is a really great book, actually. It has a ton of different pictures of just objects, okay? And that's what you're looking for, lots of objects. Okay, here we have a bird, we have fishing pole, we have frog, we have, hats, dog, pail, worms, mushrooms. This book is just a wealth of different objects. Okay, that's the kind of book you're looking for. Then after you make an initial run through, maybe do 1, 2, 3 words per page. And specifically, the reason that you're trying to do translations of the pictures is because that's going to allow you to not translate it in your brain. Okay, there's a debate, and there's good and negative sides of everything. It's just a lot easier to translate words from your target language into the word in your native language, right? It's easy to do. You're always going to be able to find, almost always going to be able to find a word that translates from your target language into your native language. But that's not necessarily the most conducive way to learning a language and learning to speak it fluently and learning that language really fully and deeply. Okay. You don't want to have to automatically go to your native language every time that word comes up when you're speaking in your target language. Oh, here, Please Clap says, if you have a Kindle, it has a built-in dictionary when reading. Just highlight the word for your finger and it translates it. Yeah, those things are really useful. It's like Link, Kindle, any of those things. Not going to be super useful for this technique because we're translating pictures, not words, right? And that's on purpose because we don't want to be translating the words in our brain. We want to look at an object and just know that this thing here is a caballo, okay? It's not a horse, which in Spanish is caballo, okay? It's just caballo or un cheval, And you want your brain to go exactly to that word when you see the object or when you think about the entity in question, not just when you think about the word in your native language. So that's kind of the motivation behind this method. So after you get a nice solid run through the first time, going through your children's book and just writing out just names of the different objects that you see in your target language, maybe do that once or twice and then review it once a day for the next week or so. If you have a child that you can read your children's book to, then that might be a great opportunity for you to review the words yourself. And then, especially if you're interested in helping the child learn a foreign language, then you can stop and review words in the foreign language. You can say, look at this picture. It's a frog. But what do we call that in Spanish? It's una rana, right? Or un tapo. And a lot of people do that when reading with children in their native languages anyways. So we're just adding words in foreign languages and making it even more educational. So, spend a week just reviewing the words in your children's book once a day, once every other day or something. If you want, you can write out full sentences. So you could just do example sentences in here, right? We're not even looking at the words here. We can write, the boy feeds the dog in Spanish. This is an example of a more advanced version of the song. You can say, the boy carries the pumpkin. You can write, I don't know, I enjoy making sandcastles at the beach. Vary it up a little bit, right? And then what you can do is post your pictures somewhere online to get feedback, to ask people for corrections. And for a long time, I had been recommending posting things onto Reddit and getting feedback from them to the subreddit of the language that you're learning. And that's still a great viable option. Just within the last month or so, I've realized that Instagram is really a great place for doing this. And it was kind of a resource that I had been missing out on because I didn't have Instagram. But what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people, let me pull this up, there's a huge language learning community on Instagram of people that are just helping each other learn languages. And there's people that speak your native language, and there's people that speak your target language as their native language. And they just help each other. It's really great. On Instagram, I don't even have any of my friends and family for the most part. I just have people on here that are language learners, mainly people that are doing the 30-day record yourself challenge right now. And there's just pictures of videos of people, speaking their target languages or posting things in their target languages and asking for corrections. And it's really great. I'm trying to see if I can find some right here. I've had people post diary entries that they wrote in their target language, and they say, corrections welcome. And then you get a bunch of people that either have already learned your target language or people that speak it as a native language, especially if you're learning Spanish or English or some language with a ton of native speakers. I'm not finding any right here. There's always people posting their language notebooks all the time. I see it every day, and asking for corrections. I'm not finding any right here. That's okay. So it'd be totally reasonable to make one, I don't know what you call it. You post multiple pictures in the same kind of little slideshow type deal. Totally reasonable to go through a few pages of your book, snapping pictures of it, writing little sentences, writing out words, and that just posting it to ask people, hey, are all these translations correct? Did I write out these sentences correctly? did I use the right translation of the word wagon, or is it really a child's wagon, or is it like a horse-drawn wagon? You get a few of them going, and then spend a few weeks just reading through that children's book. And if this method works real well for you, then go ahead and move on to another children's book, and maybe keep reviewing it in the future. And if not, then it was probably an interesting experience to try once, and you can move on. That's kind of what I did. I did it. I did this. I bought 3 children's books from Goodwill, and I just did it with this one book. It wasn't really my thing, but it wasn't a bad experience. If I would have spent more time reviewing some of these words, I didn't. I got kind of lazy on this one. I learned how to say sidewalk and street and car and just different things. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to this technique. If you think it's incomplete in some way, or if it could be augmented, and if you can implement this technique some way in your life more efficiently, then I'd love to hear it. I do actually want to go back now and read. Okay, Argentina doesn't exist. That's probably not true. How many children's books have I murdered? Well, like I said, I destroyed this one, and only just in this video I started destroying God's Wisdom for Little Boys. I don't know if that's sacrilegious or not, but I did. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. So Don't Tread on Me says, hello, Aaron. I have a cool story to share. I remember the time when you talked about boldness and language learning. I remember when I was a kid, a friend of mine and I wanted to change money because we needed 2 times 20 coins and a 10 coin instead of a 50 coin. Okay. We went up to the first people we saw and tried to ask them to change money for us, but they were speaking English, so we moved on. Then I told my friend, hey, why are we learning English if we don't ever use it? So I convinced him to go back to those people. So where are you from, by the way? Or what is your native language? That's what was confusing me there earlier. I was like, we don't have 20-cent coins. From Hungary. Okay. Gotcha. I was in Hungary a few years ago. So you have what? Florence or something like that? Florence? Or you use the euro now, right? Okay. Gotcha. Oh, no, you don't use the euro. It's Florence. Okay. Gotcha. Then I told my friend, hey, why are we learning English if we don't ever use it? So I convinced him. Still Florence. Okay. Sadly. Gotcha. So I convinced him to go back to those people and try to ask them to change our money. And eventually they changed the money for us. In fact, they gave us money. LOL. So not only we could use our language skills, but it also left us a great memory. That's awesome, man. That's what I'm talking about. I'm really glad to hear. Well, this would have been well before I had any influence on you, but I'm glad to hear I made you think about that. Oops, my bad. Because getting people to be bold and speaking their target languages is what I'm all about. So anyways, that's really all I have for this video. I just wanted to share my technique with you guys. Technique that I tried. I thought it was an interesting way to kind of learn new vocabulary. Maybe you will as well. When am I collabing with Steve Kaufman? I know, you know what? Steve calls me up every day and he says, Aaron, I just want to get on your channel because I need to get more exposure. And, I want it. Can I do an interview or something on your channel? And I'm like, yeah, Steve, just listen. I'll let you on sometime. I'm really busy and I don't have enough time. But I'll let you on my channel sometime, and I'll give you all the exposure that you need, and you'll get a bunch of new subscribers. Yeah, I know. Steve is always trying to do things to get more views. So, anyways, oh gosh, sad. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.